All right, let's continue to get more reaction to the report, the first part of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry report. I'm joined now by Cynthia Stimpel, whistleblower and former SAA Head of Treasury. Thank you. I saw your name there, Cynthia, and you know, naturally it was always going to be there, of course, because you did give extensive evidence at the commission. The one big takeout for me, as I see you trying to adjust your camera there, the big takeout for me is that a lot of what you told us has now been, you know, it stands without being challenged by those who had the opportunity to challenge what you were saying, but didn't successfully do that. But let me hear from you, your sense from what you've read of the report.
Thank you, Thulasizwe, for inviting me today, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and thank you to the listeners for tuning in. So my sense of the report, which I received early this morning and started reading it, there was quite a huge section, obviously, on the SAA, which was the first part to cover. My sense is that, my prayer, I should say, is that I would like that action do be taken on this report and not be left like the Marikana report, where no decisions, no prosecutions, no further action, no further discussions and deliberations on it. What's come out strongly is the implications against former chair, Ms. Dudu Mayeni, and former board person, Ms. Kwinana, and the recommendations made that they should be criminally prosecuted. I totally agree with that. And I think that this is easy hanging fruit, which can easily be done. And NPA and can easily start acting on that. So there's no need to wait. So I personally would like that to happen as soon as possible. They don't even need to wait for part 2 and part 3 to come out. Here's something to work with. The evidence is sitting with the commission, and there have been investigators there who can assist in defining and digging deeper if necessary.
Cynthia, it's easy to count the costs of state capture in rands and cents, even though I suspect that we may never really have a proper and final figure. It's a moving target. As revelations come up, that deal cost us this much, cancellation of that contract, which was irregular, cost us this much, etc., etc. But the human cost, and I think you are, you know, uniquely positioned to talk to the human cost, being in the position that you were in at SAA, needing to be, in a way, the rear guard in as far as protecting SAA's interests against what was a concerted effort at the time to loot as much as possible at SAA. Talk to me about the human cost. What is the cost? I see your name, I see Ms. Mshe's name coming up there, and a whole lot of other professionals, Sizam Zimela, the name comes up there. You, in a way, this pitted you against your own colleagues, and you paid a heavy toll and a heavy price.
Indeed, Thulasizwe, that's exactly it. What normally happens, everyone forgets about the human costs. The personal cost that an individual takes for speaking their truth or stating what is happening. So if I can just go and relate to others in SAA besides me that have suffered at a personal level. We have one person called Dr. Masimba Dawa, who was there as the head of procurement at SAA. And he was unceremoniously dismissed by Ms. Kwinana and Ms. Dudu Mayeni. His whole dismissal was so unfair. Yet he was very qualified. He had a doctorate. He was so qualified in procurement services. He even trained all his staff to be qualified and be certified in the CIPC certification. Now, that meant that he wanted everyone to understand the importance of procurement. Yet because he stood up against what Ms. Kwinana and Ms. Dudumayeni wanted him to do. They wanted him to sign off against contracts which were already given to existing participants who won the tender, and they wanted it changed, and he obviously refused, and they made trumped up charges against him and got him dismissed. So in some cases there are people who aren't whistleblowers as such to report it. They're just standing up and saying, no, this is wrong, I'm not doing it, and hence they lost their jobs. So he, up to today, is still unable to find a job in his professional capacity. So that's one cost. It's a cost to the country, not only the individual who loses his income, his livelihood, his opportunity to take care of his family, feed his family, to grow his career, and like Masimba did, was encourage other people to study and get qualified.
Yeah.
Then there's people like me who have a master's. I've got risk management, I've got banking experience, treasury experience, and I am still unable to find anything in my professional capacity and have decided to reinvent myself and move in a different direction. Then there are others. Ms. Thuli Mshe was mentioned in the Zondo report, together with Ms. Thulasizwe Simelane. They too suffered in those initial stages. And they took a risk on their own professional careers at that time. And in SAA, there were many other people at senior level, be they in the legal department or various other risk management, etc. They simply resigned because they felt, if we carry on this way, there's no way I can challenge what's going down at SAA.
Cynthia?
And then just to sum it up, the personal cost is not only financially. You suffer through your physical health, your mental health, your cost, having to cover legal costs for the legal litigation that's being faced by you, and your family is impacted. So there's a long-term knock-on effect that lasts. It's not something that just goes away easily.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
And in the recent past, of course, we've been focusing a bit on the issue with the death of Babita Deokaran, but also Athol Williams ending up having to leave South Africa on the basis of, some of these issues that continue, that persist around whistleblower protection. But if we shift from whistleblowing, Cynthia, and talk about just systems, just knowing, if I recall correctly from the report, I read there that at some point you went into someone's office because you needed to have documents that had to do with the BNP capital issue, and you basically took those and scanned and sent those to yourself. You got into a world of trouble for doing exactly that. But without you having to do that, some of the details you were able to share later on with OUTA, with the Commission and other processes, you would not have been able to do. At some point you were reaching out to Treasury while on pilgrimage and basically saying that this is an SOS, please help me. Systems, would it not be tragic, Cynthia Stimpel, if after all of this, after all this pontificating and noting and expressing concern, which people like President Ramaphosa have done, in the end all of this came to naught? There isn't an establishment of pathways for people to safely point out that my direct supervisor is asking me to sign for a deal which I know to be unlawful and irregular, and I cannot do that, and the systems kick in and assist such a person, be it at an SOE, provincial government, a local government entity. Would it not be tragic if after all of this we just have this pontification and political speak and nothing comes of it?
Thulasizwe, I would indeed agree with you. It would be tragic if that should happen. There's so much effort. If you just think of the amount of witnesses that have come before the State Capture Commission to speak out about certain issues, and if nothing comes of this the outcome of this report when nothing is acted on, no prosecutions. It would certainly be tragic. What is more of concern is that it shows that our country is not serious about corruption, that we're not serious about having ethical leaders in our country, and then in future leaving a legacy for our children and our grandchildren to be ethical. We are allowing corruption to become rampant. We are allowing people to be totally unaccountable, and people are getting away with it with impunity, which for me is not right, and indeed very tragic if we allow this to happen. And so my sense is that we need to have a couple of things happening. For instance, I know accountability now has been for many years advocating an integrity commission that maybe whistleblowers could go to and start showing that we are people of integrity and accountability. Not only that, we need a safe space in organizations, that anyone working in any organization must be able to speak out safely without any repercussions and saying, I've noted this or I've seen this and it's not right. It's against our policies or our procedures. So we need those, and we need spaces for people to speak and have these courageous conversations without anyone trying to push you to keep quiet. Yeah. And then just to go with, I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
Cynthia Stimpel, I've got to thank you. And I must say, South Africa thanks you, really, because from reading the report, it is quite clear the environment didn't allow for people to really stand up and say that I can't, in good conscience, sign this document that you are asking me to sign. I can't sign off on this because it is irregular. And so those who were able to do that, and you represent that cohort of people who said, whatever the cost, I am not going to sign off on things that I know to be illegal. And for that, I think many, many South Africans are thankful. You may not have saved us, all the money that could have been saved. You did your part. And for whatever savings we were able to realize from your actions and what remains of the entities that we have, we've got to thank you as South Africans. That's Cynthia Stimpel. You read the report and you find out what people like Cynthia Stimpel had to do, including that SOS while she was on pilgrimage in Europe and saying to National Treasury, I'm at my wit's end now. I don't know what to do. I'm being pressured to do something that I know for a fact is actually illegal. Ms. Mshe from SAA telling one of the colleagues there to say, if you sign off on that thing, you will be alone in court. You will be alone in court because you know very well you shouldn't be signing that document.